Think about it for a second. You've just been crowned NBA Finals MVP. The trophy is shining in your hands, you're getting global recognition, and the entire city is celebrating at your feet. You've etched your name into the history of the most winning franchise in basketball, right alongside immortal legends. What could possibly go wrong after touching the top of the world? In the ruthless corporate world of the NBA, the answer is almost always the same: everything. And that is exactly what happened to Jaylen Brown, the hero who led the Boston Celtics back to the promised land, only to find himself right after in the middle of the strangest, coldest, and most questionable front office move the league has seen in years. The news hit fans around the world like a straight punch to the gut. The Celtics, who just built a recent championship culture based on homegrown chemistry, simply decided to ship their Finals MVP to the Philadelphia 76ers. The destination couldn't be more brutal for the Boston faithful, who will now see one of their biggest modern icons wearing the jersey of one of their historic division rivals. In return, the package brings back 36-year-old veteran Paul George, 2 first-round draft picks in 2028 and 2031, and 2 second-rounders in 2028 and 2030. According to reports by ESPN, Brad Stevens, the Celtics' president of basketball operations, and team owner Bill Chisholm went to the media to try and explain the unexplainable, justifying a decision that left the sports world in absolute shock. Stevens used highly technical, corporate jargon to try and calm down an infuriated fan base. He mentioned that the league's landscape had shifted drastically, and that the path moving forward had become considerably more challenging. According to the executive, the trade was designed to keep the team competitive in the long run, adding what he called optionality with these new draft assets. But let's be completely honest and look at what's actually behind that polished speech. Saying the path got more challenging right after winning the ultimate prize with a young, locked-in core sounds contradictory at best. The core of Brad Stevens' argument comes down to on-court math and financial engineering. He pointed out that having around 70% of the team's salary cap and a massive chunk of their usage percentage tied up in just 2 players, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, created a dangerous ceiling for roster flexibility. In the eyes of Boston's front office, today's NBA demands insane depth, a rotation capable of, quote, replacing the irreplaceable individual, end quote. It's almost as if the Finals MVP, the guy who just delivered a championship with a historic performance, was just a replaceable gear inside a business machine. This is exactly where the narrative takes a dramatic turn, revealing the cold-blooded nature of NBA front offices. While fans were still celebrating in the streets and Jaylen Brown's MVP trophy was still warm, the Celtics' decision-making machine was already running at full speed behind the scenes, projecting a future that, to everyone's surprise, did not include their own champion. This forces us to ask an uncomfortable question that very few analysts dare to say out loud. Has individual glory combined with a supermax contract become a financial and tactical risk for modern NBA franchises? Or did the Celtics front office see some hidden flaw, something the rest of us haven't figured out yet, that motivated them to move on from a player in his absolute prime to chase a plan that, to the general public, looks bound to fail? To understand the sheer scale of what just happened, we have to look at the details of the trade and what Boston is trying to build from the pieces of this blockbuster move. Bringing in Paul George, an undeniably talented 36-year-old, means betting on a player who only has 2 years left on his contract, 1 year less than Brown's remaining deal. George is an elite two-way player, capable of carrying the team under pressure and playing a high-level complementary role on both ends of the floor. Brad Stevens himself admitted he lost sleep watching Paul George's impact during their recent playoff series against Philly. But trading a 29-year-old star in his physical prime for a veteran nearing the end of his career is a risk that many analysts see as reckless. At the same time, Stevens defended the draft picks as premium assets, opportunities to take big swings at the apple in future drafts. But for the everyday fan wearing a number 7 jersey in the arena, future draft picks don't put points on the board today. Owner Bill Chisholm publicly insisted that the decision had nothing to do with saving money or ducking the league's dreaded luxury tax. He emphasized that the organization's mandate is to win at all costs, and that the front office convinced him this deep shakeup was the best route to secure multiple championships in the coming years, rather than just defending this one title. Chisholm guaranteed that ownership will keep spending whatever it takes to upgrade the roster. And if another opportunity pops up on the market, Brad has the green light. Still, a heavy sense of unease hangs in the air. Brad Stevens openly confessed to losing sleep over how this trade would emotionally impact the Boston community. He acknowledged the weight of breaking up one of the most prolific and connected duos in modern basketball history. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown averaged 20-plus points in the same season 6 times, a statistical feat that ranks them second all-time behind only legends Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. They grew up together, faced heavy criticism, beat the narrative that they couldn't play together, and right when they finally proved everyone wrong by winning it all, they were separated by the cold math of a spreadsheet. To soften the immediate blow of losing Brown and back up their roster depth theory, Boston moved fast in free agency. The team reached a 3-year, $47 million deal to acquire rim-protecting center Mitchell Robinson, added veteran leadership and poise with Mike Conley on a 1-year deal, and locked down center Neemias Queta with a solid 4-year, $56 million contract extension. These moves show a clear intention to surround Jayson Tatum with physical defenders, shooters, and secondary creators, spreading out the responsibility that used to rest entirely on the shoulders of Massachusetts' dynamic duo. What's playing out now is one of the most heavily scrutinized, high-pressure experiments in American sports. When asked directly if all this trade and free agency engineering makes the Boston Celtics a better team for this upcoming season, Brad Stevens gave a short, cryptic answer that sums up the scale of the gamble. We'll find out. There are no guarantees in the NBA, and the cost of messing up a move of this magnitude could ruin the rest of Jayson Tatum's prime years and slam the franchise's championship window shut. Now you can see exactly how cutthroat, calculating, and purely strategic the NBA can be behind closed doors. It's a global chessboard where emotions, fan loyalty, and even the greatest individual glory a player can achieve on the court can be sacrificed for a mathematical projection or a long-term structural plan. A plan that could turn out to be a stroke of genius or go down in history as one of the biggest front office blunders of a modern dynasty. But what about you? What's your take on the background of this absolute bombshell? Do you think the Boston Celtics made a monumental mistake out of pure arrogance by letting go of a champion at the peak of his physical and technical game? Or do you think Brad Stevens is playing chess while we're playing checkers, seeing league trends that we, as fans, haven't fully grasped yet? Drop your detailed thoughts down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives into sports business. And let's keep this conversation going on the coldest, most ruthless side of the game that you never see on TV.